which is called the axis of symmetry, we simply plug in a and b into this little equation. You just got to remember it, write it down. Opposite of b over 2a, so let's do it. And if you remember here, b is negative 5, right? So remember, mathematically, this isn't negative b, it means opposite of b. So if b is negative 5, what's the opposite of b? 5. And we're going to divide that by 2 times a. What was a? It's 1. So 2 times 1 is 2. Now, I did have a rule, and you know my rule, is I really don't like you guys taking fractions and turning them into decimals. However, if you remember, I said the only time that you really should do that is if you're putting things on graphs, right? When you guys were in 6th, 7th grade, you didn't do much on graphs. So that's why it didn't really make sense that you were turning things into decimals. I mean, it kind of did because you were answering questions about baking cakes and stuff, you know, like whatever. But we are going to turn this into a decimal, and generally you're going to get nice decimals. You really shouldn't be getting weird decimals. So you're going to get a lot of 0.5s and things like that. To be honest with you, a lot of times you're not going to get decimals, but sometimes you will. And we're going to turn that into a decimal, right? So 5 divided by 2 is 2.5. So that's the x-coordinate of the vertex, called the axis of symmetry, opposite of b over 2a. 2.5, so let's write that. X equals 2.5. Remember, you got to write x equals. 2.5 doesn't mean anything. Now, after we find the axis of symmetry, using this little formula here, let's find the vertex. In order to find the vertex, all you're going to do is you're going to take this x-coordinate and you're going to plug it in. You're going to plug it in using parentheses. So let's plug it in. We're going to replace these two x's here with 2.5 using parentheses. So we'll have 2.5 squared minus 5 times 2.5 minus 24. Right? And let's do it. So, give my little calculator here. 2.5 squared. And remember, guys, take a break from your calculators. Like, I just figured out what 2.5 squared is. I'm going to write that. Do not sit there in that calculator and type all this crap in, you know? 6.25. Let's write 6.25. Minus. And let's do the next one. 5 times 2.5. So that's 12.5, right? And then a minus 24. So once you get here, now you can kind of put it all in your calculator, right? 6.25 minus 12.5, negative 30.25. So let's write our vertex. Remember how we started finding this vertex. We found the axis of symmetry, that's the x-coordinate. In this case, opposite of b over 2a was 2.5. And we plugged that in, and we got negative 30.25. And that's the y-coordinate. And I really should have had, let me go back up here. I really should have wrote y equals right here. So when we replaced the x-coordinate with 2.5, what did y equal? Meaning, what did we get when we did all this? Negative 30.25. So the x-coordinate is 2.5, that axis of symmetry, and the y-coordinate is what we get when we plug that x-coordinate into the quadratic, negative 30.25. All right, what we're going to do next is we are going to do a U-try. I want you to pause the video. I want you to try to answer these questions, and then I will come on and I'll do it, and then hopefully you will be experts. And here is our quadratic. Y equals x squared plus 5x plus 6. X squared plus 5x plus 6. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to answer those 5 questions. Does it open up or down? Does it contain a max or a min? Oh, in the last example, we forgot. Right here, we found that vertex, right? And we knew it had a minimum because it opened up, so it contains a minimum. And that minimum, remember, that's that y coordinate of the vertex. So we need to write y equals negative 30.25. So let's do that. Negative 30.25. All right, so you're going to answer, does it open up or down? Does it have a max or min? What is the y-intercept? And then finally, what is the axis of symmetry? And what is the vertex? So go ahead and pause the video, answer those questions, and then watch me go over it. All right, let's do it. This is a quadratic in standard form, ax squared plus bx plus c. And let's write down what we got here. Remember, the first thing you want to do is you want to write down what a, b, and c are. So a is 1, b is 5, c is 6, right? Does it open up or down? Well, remember how we figure that out. If a is positive, it opens up. If it's negative, it opens down. So obviously a is positive, so it's going to open up. Does it contain a maximum or a minimum? Well, remember, if it opens up, then it's going to have a minimum. So let's write minimum. And I'll write y equals, we'll fill that in at the end after we find the vertex, right? Y-intercept. Remember, the y-intercept is simply the c value. It's the value that c is. And that is 6. So the y-intercept, 0, 6. What is the axis of symmetry? Remember, the axis of symmetry is a formula. X equals opposite of b over 2a. So let's figure out what this axis of symmetry is. Opposite of b, b is 5. So opposite of b is negative 5. Divided by 2 times a. Well, a is 1. So 2 times 1 is 2. So it looks like the axis of symmetry is x equals negative 2.5. And finally, what's the vertex? Remember how we find the vertex? We take this x-coordinate, in this case negative 2.5, the axis of symmetry, and we're going to plug it in up here. Negative 2.5 squared plus 5 times 2.5 plus 6. And we write a y equals in front. So we're simply taking that x-coordinate, that axis of symmetry from this formula that we get, and we're plugging it in. Let's do it. Negative 2.5 squared. Well, that's going to be the same thing that 2.5 squared was. 6.25. Plus 5 times 2.5, 12.5. And you already know what I'm going to say, right? Be really careful when you guys are multiplying and make sure you got the right signs and go slow. And now we can add all this stuff together, right? And I get y equals 24.75. So it looks like that's the y-coordinate of the vertex. So the x-coordinate of the vertex was this axis of symmetry. We plugged it in, we got the y-coordinate. So our vertex is going to be that point, negative 2.5, comma, 24.75. And remember that y-coordinate, that's that minimum. So let's write y equals 24.75. All right, guys, that is my lesson. Hopefully this stuff makes a lot more sense now. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to turn in these notes via EDSP submission. Meaning, please don't email me these notes. You're going to click on the assignment in the gradebook. There's a little, I'll try to find a tutorial for how to do it, but it's super easy. You click on the assignment, and it's going to give you the option to upload a file. You're just going to upload your pictures, and just make sure you write your names at the top, and send me all of it. So that's what you're going to do now. What I'm thinking is, give me until tomorrow to get this quiz together. But right now, you should be able to do assignment 4. So assignment number 4 should make a lot more sense. Remember, it's that last slide of PowerPoint. The last slide of the PowerPoint. And tomorrow, let's say tomorrow, I'll have that uploaded. You'll have an EDSB quiz. And I'm going to do it right in EDSB. It's going to be multiple choice. It grades it for me. So that's what you're doing. Remember that the only other thing that I'm putting in the grade book, so like up here, is that Khan Academy quiz, right? So a lot of you guys were like asking me, you were like, Mr. Newsom, you're like sending me all this stuff. That's really the only thing you've been able to do so far, and that's kind of my fault. I apologize, but you know what? It is what it is. I promise the next couple of months are going to be very easy. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you guys notes, give you some questions. I don't know if I'm going to continue Khan Academy because their videos are super boring. But anyways, that's all I got. Stay safe. Let me know if you have any questions.